What? You're in the right place. I am thrilled. The topic of conversation today is going to be cold pizza at the Marriott. It's going to be what happens when you show up to make the digital personal. It's going to be about my new book, which published today, but mostly it's going to be about my guest, the one and only Ramon Ray. Hello, my friend. It's so good to see you. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, I appreciate it, Seth. It's good to be here. Always good to share space with you and via email or otherwise. And thanks for having me here live. And congratulations on the launch of your new book.
Thank you. So I don't remember what year it was, but I did a conference with Ramon a bunch of years ago. I think we had emailed or met briefly before that. It's a conference that still resonates with me because of the joy that was in the room, because of the learning that happened. I get his email newsletter. I haven't made it to any of his conferences in the far-flung nether regions. But what happens when Ramon shows up in the world is things inevitably get better. He has figured out, you can check out his work at ramonray.com. He has figured out that we do not need to be divided by this digital world. We do not need to buy in to the hustle and to the short-term hype and to attention at any cost. He is persistently and generously and carefully weaving together magic. So I don't know if that's a fair introduction to
very
you,
fair.
But that's what I have to say. Welcome. How you been?
Appreciate it. Seth, I appreciate it so much. And I do appreciate that. My bio, as you may know, says unapologetically positive. And I've only done that recently because I was hearing people so many times over and over and over, Seth, talk about being unapologetically positive, not the entrepreneurship, smart hustle, and all the things I've been blessed to do over the years. But I do take it as I'm 50 years old. I know I'm still a young man to some, but I'm an older guy. And it makes me happy, Seth, from stage, which is just one part of that I do, to just bring joy, whether it's tech, small business, freelance, all the things that I talk about. It is to bring that joy in the world, Seth, because I'm realizing that so many people need it. And so thanks for having me here. And if you don't mind, Seth, may I jump in with something? Or
let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the reins back from Seth for a few minutes. It's his show, but I'm going to be here just co-mod. And first, Seth, congratulations for the launch of the Song of Significance. Thank you so much for that. The Song of Significance. I started reading it, Seth, and I must say it is amazing. And here's why. Over the last recent few weeks and days, and welcome to everyone who's joining, Molly and Kathy and Thomas and everybody joining. Glad you all are here. There's been a lot of talk about increase in productivity, faster, lower prices. This whole shift, of course, because of AI, which you've talked about, and I'm happy for AI. But the bottom line, Seth, is when you talk about the Song of Significance, my main question to you is, how do you tell corporations to be profitable? We have to make money. We have to be, something has to be great happen. I'm guessing faster. It's a question. More productive. But how do you still be human? That's the one question that I'd love to just talk to you for these few minutes here. So how do you do it?
Okay. So here's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse.
Okay.
When the two of them were trying to wire the United States with electricity, there was an argument about AC versus DC. And to scare people, Thomas Edison electrocuted elephants. Went to the zoo, got an elephant, electrocuted it. Electricity changed the world. If you were doing anything productive before electricity, it was a threat. And after electricity, the deck is shuffled. We start over again. AI is going to change our world as much as electricity changed the world of 120 years ago.
For sure.
And the two main reasons are not because it's artificially intelligent. It is because it is on all the time and it works really cheap. And as a result, little tiny things that we need that will make our lives better are going to happen all around us all the time. So you have a choice. And the choice is either AI works for you or you work for AI. So let's say you're a radiologist. Using AI, I can read an X-ray faster and cheaper than you can.
Right.
So if you're going to compete for ordinary patients getting ordinary X-rays read, you're going to lose. On the other hand, if you can figure out how to create the conditions where patients will benefit from lots and lots and lots of AI working for you, there'll be a line out the door. The same way, when the steam shovel showed up, ditch diggers did not win by digging ditches faster. They won by figuring out how to have a steam shovel. And so you just got to get your mind out of the, how do I make the factory more efficient? Because that's the race to the bottom. You're not.
And when you talk about choice, Seth, I guess there'll still be in the world for the big behemoth. I think the world is companies, which I'm guessing many of us love and use their products and services, but the choice is for the other, stealing your word, that we can choose to go the route you just said. Is that a fair assumption? Because there seems to be a media rush, though. The headlines, the newspaper clips is all about, monetization, also about going $1 trillion valuation, et cetera. And by the way, after you answer that, what in the world are door prizes, Seth? I would like to know what door prizes are all about.
If you win, I send a door to your house. It's a prize. No, that's not what actually a door prize is. In the old days, to get people to come to a sales pitch, there would be door prizes. You get a little coupon. What are the door prizes? We have handmade letterpressed posters that I made in Brooklyn with Dan at the Arm. We have beautiful mugs made by an artisan in the Pacific Northwest. We have limited edition sustainable t-shirts made by an entrepreneur, I think, in Pittsburgh. And we have copies of this. So it's unlikely that you're going to win. And I have to tell people before they waste a lot of time, we can't ship it outside the United States. I know that's not fair. I know this is the World Wide Web, but someone needs to tell the Postal Service that, because it's just too hard. Those were what door prices are. Okay. So where were we? We were ranting.
Making a choice. We said that I was just affirming that you can make the choice.
Making the choice. So the number of people in the world who work for Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or Facebook is such a tiny rounding error that the odds that you work there are essentially zero. So don't worry about them. Not your problem. Yeah. And you're not going to be an investor in OpenAI. And even if you could, it's too late. So this is not what's interesting. What's interesting is what's going to happen when the local waffle shop figures out how to use this tool to treat you like the loyal customer that you are when you walk in. That is an interesting question, because the waffle shop is never going to be run by Mark Zuckerberg. So it's not just a company with 4 employees. It's also a company with 400 or 4,000. So to give you an example, and then we're going to go to some Q&A from the comments.
Absolutely.
My dad ran a company for many years that my sister now runs that makes hospital cribs in Buffalo, New York. And hospital cribs involve union labor, bending steel, and making a very significant piece of hospital equipment. And the entire half of the company, the plant, was filled with nuts and bolts and oily stuff, some of which was 100 years old, because the only way to get the cross bracket was to buy 500 cross brackets at a time. And my dad saved up a bunch of money and bought a machine that cost $800,000. And what you would do is program it at night with what tomorrow's build was. And you'd come back in the morning, and like the elves in the shoemaker, all the screws you need were made that night, just sitting there. Right. This completely transforms what it is to make a hospital crib. It's that kind of thinking that we're going to multiply times every single business, times everything that's going on.
I love it. And Seth, let me just squeeze in one comment about my team and how we're using, talking about
Please.
the future, talking about being human and how we're using AI. Then I can't wait to jump into questions. I see them coming in. I want to shout out Jamie, who's the head of operations for Ramon Ray, Inc. She told me months ago, Ramon, I'm not a copywriter. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a writer. Don't bother me for things like this. In a good way. That's our relationship. She runs the team. Recently, over the past few days, she's like sending Ramon, here's all the tweets we can use. Here's the copy we can use. Or here's the suggested copy. You tweak it. That, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of, I'm very human with my team, love my team. And Jamie and I have been together. You may have met her, in fact, at one of my events, for over 7 years, Seth. She's turning her, I'm not a copywriter, into, again, stealing from Seth. This is good enough copy. Ramon, you can fine tune it. But now Jamie is 10xing or maximizing her skills. Just wanted to throw that in. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. And when we were debating the subtitle of this book, I gave ChatGPT 5 pages of the book, and I said, what do you think the subtitle of the book should be? And it gave me 10 mediocre subtitles. I now needed to prove I could do better than that. And that's where it came from. But if I had a blank sheet of paper, it wouldn't have been as useful. Okay. I think we have one question here, and then we're going to wrap this thing up.
Sure.
Or soon. Let's see what we got. Stephen has a question for you.
Great. Stephen, thanks for the question. What is the most impactful book you have read in the last 2 years? Well, I just finished reading, of course, The Song of Significance. However, I will give a shout out to Eric Thomas's book, You Owe You, where he talks about his story from poverty and being down in Detroit, and he just had to realize his worth. So I think that was one impactful book. Eric Thomas, You Owe You.
Love that. I hadn't heard about that one. Thank you. All right, here they come. Dr. Will Moreland, as a CEO, how do I introduce AI to my team most effectively?
For you.
So this goes into the significance thing too. We have been somehow persuaded that what we ought to do is everything all at once. The internet is here. How do I make everything internet? Right? That whatever the topic is, that is never how things change. The goal is to do the smallest useful contribution, not the biggest possible one. If you want to make a significant organization, find one employee and have one interaction that creates more humanity. If it works, do it again. If it doesn't work, you learn something. But none of this is going to happen if you call a big meeting and try to announce a pivot. It just doesn't happen. So how do we introduce AI? The first thing that I would say is you have people in your organization who are managers. They want a manual. They want to be told what to do. Don't pay attention to them right now. You have other people in your organization who are leaders, who are explorers, who are pathfinders. What I would challenge them to do is say, tomorrow or this weekend or whenever, here is a project about something we don't do. Please go make an OpenAI account and come back with an ad for laundry detergent. Come back with package designs for something we don't make.
Have fun with it.
Have fun with it. And now you have become, because you're slightly competitive, facile and familiar with the tools. And then I can say to one of those leaders, here's a memo that we're going to use. Please rewrite it with OpenAI to make it more efficient. Bit by bit, drop by drop. The same way that email spread in your organization, the same way, if you remember your first website, it was terrible, right? And we're going to get past that drip by drip, day by day. Okay. I'm going to do this one from Jennifer Ballard. There is an Instagram account that I'm going to have to tell you about. It's so cool. So wait a second. I'm going into a different browser here. If you go to Instagram and look for the Visual Dome, Visual Dome, you will find an artist who is creating an entire universe of beautiful half photos, half oil paintings that all rhyme with each other. You can make a whole movie about using nothing but AI. When you look at that, what you are seeing, because AI is soon going to be able to make movies, AI is soon going to be able to make narration, you're going to see that it needs a director. It needs someone like the Visual Dome person to say, this is my taste. This is what I stand for. But there's no way this person, as skilled as they are, could have drawn and painted these things at the rate that they are doing it. But when you see it, and I'm not going to start touching share screen, I'll break something. But when you see it, I think you will. But I looked at that and I was like, okay, this is more than a parlor trick. This is something that is going to be used in an interesting way. The last thing I'll say about that is Herbie Hancock's autobiography is terrific. And Herbie Hancock worked with Miles Davis. And then he got shamed and harassed for starting to use electronic instruments. And then he made one of the first records with scratching on it that was sort of the dawn of hip hop. And the reason we're talking about Herbie Hancock and not any of the other people who were making jazz in 1964 is because Herbie said, my job is to live on that liminal edge. All right, you want to take Paul's? You're good at this one.
Good. I'm just looking, I'm a long-time fan. Working for the man for 30, 40 years. I've recently been laid off. How do I reboot my career to do the kind of work Seth talks about. I think 3 things I would say, Paul, and thank you for your question. 1, what is it that you really, really, really love doing? Number 2, what is it that you're really, 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 really good at? Almost kind of, I would say, the best at. Start from there, Paul. And if you do have a bit of money, because money is important to carry you over, just start doing it, spreading the word. I'm Paul. I'm here to serve and help. And here's how I can solve the problem you have, and the rest will go forward. That's what I would suggest, Paul.
What Ramon said. Find a customer, figure out the change you seek to make, earn the benefit of the doubt, and then make a promise and keep it. Ramon, sending you big hugs. Thank you for joining me on my pub day. I can't wait to see the next ruckus you're going to make. It's so good to be your friend. Thank you. See everybody. Take care.